Okay, hello everybody. I am excited to be here today. Now, if you are someone who has been trying hard to impress a partner because you are very attracted to them, but just no matter what you do, it seems to only push that person away, then you're definitely going to want to stick around and watch this video because I'm going to explain how to being in touch with your own feelings as opposed to being mindful of your avoidance and your anxiety is actually the number one quality that's going to make it safe for a potential partner to love you, and thus you will be irresistible to them. And so if you don't know me, my name is Brandon McWilliam. I'm an author, educator, and licensed creative arts therapist. I've been in the field for about 13 years now, and I am just wild about helping individuals with insecure attachment go from feeling fearful and struggling with confidence in their relationships to calling in those soul-shaking, passionate partnerships they want, ideally without having to talk in circles around their feelings for hours or even years on end with no tangible result. And I do this in a psycho-spiritual approach to creative arts interventions through the framework of attachment theory. And so many of us believe that in order to attract a lover, we have to pretend to be a perfect partner. We kind of go on a treasure hunt to find out what it is that that person that we want really likes. And then we go about pretzeling ourselves into becoming that thing. And so we want to make them feel desired and seduced. We want to put on makeup or a fancy suit, and we want to really impress them, look beautiful, dress sexy, be physically alluring. We want to impress them with extravagant gifts or dates. We want to be there for them, almost like a free therapist. We want to be funny and witty and smart and interesting all the time. We want to act like we have things in common, even if you don't enjoy their hobbies and activities. And so all these tactics, they may very well appeal to a partner at first. Certainly, it might make them feel interested enough to get to know you better and maybe even want to have sex with you. But none of that matters or means that it is going to soften their heart necessarily. Okay, it doesn't necessarily matter enough that they're going to fall into that soul-shaking, passionate partnership with you. And why not? Because while all that glitz and glamour and performing aspects that we put on can be appealing, on a deeper level, it's also leaving you completely unavailable. And you really cannot fake authenticity. So a partner who is sincerely looking for a connection doesn't care if you are dressed to the nines every time that they see you. Sometimes they might even like seeing you in a more natural and relaxed state because that means that they get to relax too. Because when you are performing all of the time, your partner is going to feel as if they have to perform just as much. And while that can be exciting in the beginning, unless that mask comes off at some point, it also gets exhausting, and it gets exhausting very, very quickly. And lust is not love. And so a loving partner is going to be less concerned about how many degrees you hold or how much you make at your job, and more concerned that you're passionate about what you are doing. Right? A loving partner doesn't care how many facts you can recite. They may enjoy your company if you're a good conversationalist, but that won't necessarily make them feel something for you. So the way to a partner's heart is really more to make them feel safe enough to explore and experience their own inner feelings and emotions as well. And the way that you do that is by feeling safe enough to experience your own without someone else's permission first. Okay. But if you don't communicate what you are feeling or that you are comfortable in your own skin, and I don't mean this verbally, this can be communicated in any number of nonverbal ways. It's just the essence of your energy, the way you reside within you. Okay. If you don't communicate verbally or nonverbally that that is something that you are comfortable with, then it's hard for anybody else to feel comfortable with you. If you're in a room with someone who's clearly nervous, even though they're saying and doing all the right things, you're still going to feel nervous because you're reading their energy, right? I'm not going to open up to someone who appears to be nervous. I would be worried about making them feel even worse, right? And so if a person can't open up to you, warts and all, they cannot fall in love with you. It's as simple as that. And if they're too worried about hurting your feelings because you've put so much of the responsibility for how you feel in their hands, then they can't be fully present with you. And then they reach a threshold and they have to withdraw or escape you. And you're wondering why, when you're trying so hard, that none of it's working. Okay. Because when you put on a performance, you kind of unconsciously communicate a fantasy of reality because that feels safer than vulnerability. And then you energetically and non-verbally tell your partner that you can't handle their vulnerability either. And so we don't provide a program for this kind of elaborate performance or any stage directions to our partners. We just kind of expect a partner to figure it out, to pass these tests that we are putting them through, because we're afraid that if we express what we really need and want, that would be perceived as too needy and thus subject to some kind of rejection or abandonment. And so to avoid revealing our soft underbellies, we make ourselves depressed and anxious, trying to keep up the performance with things like pretending or chasing or manipulating or convincing or persuading or seducing and other forms of drama. And so I want to make a note here about the term drama. It's not the same as allowing yourself to have intense feelings or allowing yourself to have needs. Okay? A loving partner wants to know that you're angry when you are angry and why you are angry. Those are intense feelings. Now, the drama comes in when they think you're angry. Everything about what you are expressing says, I'm angry, but they're not sure because you are trying so hard to plaster that smile on your face and say, I'm fine, and stuff it down. So the thing is, you're not really fooling anybody. You're just confusing them, because your energy and your verbal expressions are going to contradict one another. And that is the seed of dramatic conflict. And this type of drama is really so annoying because you are effectively keeping a partner at bay and you're refusing to connect with them for fear that they wouldn't like the real you. But because they cannot access the real you, there's no real glue holding them there either. And so they wind up leaving you anyway. And so unfortunately, here is the rub. When we have been performing for so long, sometimes for our entire lives, we don't know who we really are. Usually that is the problem. And so we are so over-identified with these masks that we are putting on, with the performance and the fantasy of reality. This is what I have defined in previous videos as an ego attachment. Therefore, showing up in an authentic way in a relationship seems kind of like an impossible task, and it starts to feel very frustrating. What do you mean? If I give up all of this, then I don't know who I am, and that's terrifying. So then you remain in these perpetual unhealthy patterns of relating that just keep you stuck in a spin cycle. Okay. And so the number one quality to get a lover to find you irresistible is just to be in touch with your feelings. Now, you might say, well, I feel anxious, or I feel like I want to avoid this situation. Those are more of a coping skill. The feeling is rather the fear beneath it. Okay. And when you respond in an anxious or avoidant way, you are responding to fear. And fear becomes this blanket that coats over what the feelings actually are. And usually that's connected to a desire. And so we spend so much time moving away from fear that we forget that we need to move towards the desire. So if the desire is, I want to have an intimate relationship, I want to feel like it is safe to be vulnerable in this situation, you have to make it safe for yourself first. And you have to show up and say, I am completely safe and in command of myself and able to be vulnerable in this moment. And once you do that, you make it safe for somebody else to as well. Now, if you encounter a partner who doesn't feel safe being vulnerable, and your vulnerability suddenly opens up an opportunity for them to be vulnerable, and they respond by being like, whoop, that's vulnerability. I can't deal with that right now. And they disappear. Let them go. That is the universe sorting it out for you. And let that happen. And accept at the basis of this, there is the premise that everything that is happening is for your greatest good. And in that circumstance, it is for your greatest good. Because the only way that you can show up and the only way that you can open up for possibility of true intimacy and connection in an intimate relationship is to be vulnerable. If you won't do that, if you can't allow for that, if you can't move towards the desire rather than running away from the fear, then there's no possibility. And it doesn't mean that the minute you make that decision, everyone you encounter is willing to meet you in that place. But you can witness your own strength and empowerment in that moment, and then you can witness who bounces off of you, and realize that once you start seeing that happen, you're no longer getting caught in those bear traps. Okay. So I hope that you have enjoyed this little clip of a video. I want to open it up also for questions and answers. If any of what I have said has resonated with you, I would love to see a comment in the thread or in the feed below here, or whatever your biggest takeaway might be. Does this sound like something you've experienced in your life or in your relationships? Let me know. And also, I am going to be doing live streams tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. We're going to be talking about a few more topic areas like this. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the truth about neediness. Okay. And I'm also hopping in here live this week to continue promoting my live group coaching program, Healing Attachment Wounds with Mindfulness and Creative Arts Interventions. And it is still open. We still have 6 spots available. It's the first time I'm ever doing it in a live group coaching space. So I encourage you to check it out. I'm going to put a link to that in the caption of this video. It is a course that offers 7 fun, creative, easy lessons over the course of 7 weeks. And we take you from feeling lost and confused about your partnerships to stepping into that fullest, most sovereign self, being vulnerable without having to talk in circles around your feelings or even hours or even years on end with no tangible result. And we do this through a psycho-spiritual approach to creative arts interventions and attachment theory. And I'm also adding 3 bonus sessions to the content this year. We've got these amazing guest experts coming in. So if you're interested in learning more about that, check out the link in the caption of this video. We have a few people commenting here. Thank you. I love what you said, and it fully resonates with me. Rebecca says, thank you. Oh, good. I'm glad it resonated with you. Awesome. Okay, so come back tomorrow because we're going to be talking about the truth about neediness. And I look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to be popping in a little bit earlier. I'll be coming in around 10 a.m. So I will see you then.